The Arnold Strongman Classic is coming up in about 4 weeks' time. Friday the 28th of February and Saturday the 1st of March. 10 of the strongest guys in the world battling it out over 6 events, 2 days of competition to see who will be the Arnold Strongman Classic champion 2025. Just to make you aware, guys, I have already recorded this video. The audio didn't work, so we're doing it again. I have got my iPad in front of me for reference of notes. We've got 10 athletes competing. They are as follows. We've got Mitchell Hooper, Hathor Bjornsson, Austin Andrade, Bobby Thompson, Evan Singleton, Lucas Hatton, Maxime Boudreau, Nick Gardione, Tom Stoltman, and the big thicket himself, Trey Mitchell. I'm going to go through event by event, tell you who I think we should be looking out for, and then give you an overall prediction at the end. So make sure you stick around for that so you can see who I think is going to win the Arnold Strongman Classic. Let's get into it. Event number 1 is the elephant bar deadlift. $101,000 on the line for anybody that can lift 501 or more. Now, the only person that realistically has a chance at this is Hathor Bjornsson. There is an outside shot of Trey Mitchell being able to do it. He did 470 raw at the deadlift championships at the end of last year, but realistically, I think he's maybe got a 5% chance, and I think he's coming for the overall show as well, so maybe he'll have a go at it, but I think he'll just try and secure the points. This is an event that I think could hurt Tom Stoltman's push for the title. Although his deadlift isn't bad necessarily, he hit 409 kilos at the strongest man on earth, which is around 900 pounds. I just think even if he's improved that by 20 pounds, there's going to be too many people that are ahead of him. I see Maxime Boudreau and Nick Gardione being probably the bottom 2 on this event, unfortunately. Nick recently posted an 800 double, which looked pretty tough. He's done 824.3 on an axle bar deadlift at OSG the end of last year. So I think if he's peaked well for it, he might be able to come in and hit around 860 pounds to 880 pounds, and that will be a good lift for him, a big PB, but not enough to really mix in with the points. Now, Maxime's personal record that's on Strongman Archives is about 340 kilos, around 750 pounds. He recently posted a 700 for a double at the strongest man on earth. I think he hit 730. I think it was, I've got my notes, let me have a look, guys. So 730 at the strongest man on earth. So I think he will probably hit around that 750 mark again. He's probably looking to improve on that. So anywhere from say 750 to 770 is where Maxime Boudreau will probably be. Obviously, talking of the strongest man on earth, that's the easiest indicator of where all these guys are going to end up. But there were a few dodgy calls in that, in my opinion. Obviously, that was the rules, and that's fair enough for the show. But I don't think we should have powerlifters judging strongman's deadlifts. It's just not how it works. If your thumb is on the bar, not wrapped around, I don't really see the problem with it. I understand it in a powerlifting meet, but this is strongman, not powerlifting. So we had Lucas Hatton only getting credited with an 856 lift when he pulled 886 relatively easy. Went for 931, but unfortunately he didn't lock it out. He didn't have his shoulders back, his hips all the way through. We had Evan nearly getting 966. He nearly got, I think, 946 or something. Both times didn't get credited for the lift, but definitely had it in the tank. And I think when it comes to this, he should be around that similar sort of mark. Austin Andrade and Bobby Thompson both hit 961. Obviously, Trey Mitchell's was down, but that wasn't a true indication of where his deadlift is at. So I'm going to give you a full run of where I think people are going to place on this event. So I've got first, second, and third, Thor, Trey, Austin in that order. I've got Mitch coming in 4th place, and Lucas, Evan, Bobby. Now, these 3 I think could swap around quite easily, to be honest. We could see Evan above Lucas and Bobby. We could see Bobby above them both. I've just not seen an awful lot of Bobby's training recently. Obviously, he's very strong, but I don't think he's much stronger than these other guys. Then I've got Tom coming in 8th, Nick 9th, and Maxime, unfortunately, coming in last place on that event, but I think he probably expects that himself. So, second event of day one then, guys, we have the overhead gauntlet. I believe it's going to be a sear dumbbell into a stone press, then into the Austrian oak trump log. So we've got a 175 and a 195. It's like 380 pounds. No, it's about 390 pounds to about 430 pounds. Any amount of reps beats any reps on the lighter log. So 1 on the heavy beats 10 on the light. Simple as that. I think a lot of people could potentially get 1 rep. It depends how fatigued they are from the deadlift and from the buy-in, so to speak. I don't think anyone's going to struggle with the sear dumbbell or the stone press. I think that's really just to fatigue them and just for show, because they've got a 2-minute time limit as well. I think winning this event, you're going to have like 3 reps on the log, and if it's split times, obviously it's just going to come down to who is the fastest. We might see somebody get 4 reps. We've seen Trey Mitchell get 4 on it in 2023, but obviously they didn't have the buy-in beforehand. And of course, this is where Hathor will probably drop some points. He will have the benefit of coming out probably last on the event after winning the deadlift, if we can all agree on that. So if he sees some people fail the big log, let's say 3 or 4 people fail the big log, don't get a rep on the lighter log or just get 1, then he could just be tactical, realize that maybe he's not going to get the 195, go for the 175, get some half decent points on the board, and avoid coming in last place, basically. I'll be looking out for the likes of Bobby, Trey, Mitch, and Lucas Hatton on this event as potential winners, but it is hard to call. I think Tom Stoltman is a real dark horse for this. We've seen him at the 2023 Rogue Invitational hit like 160 for 10 on the log, which is about 360 pounds, around 360 pounds, I believe. He posted a 180 strict press not so long ago, and if he comes in ready, he's someone that could potentially get a couple of reps on that 195 log. He hit a single on it back in 2023 when admittedly he wasn't in the best shape he's been in, so 2 is definitely possible. So as a top 3 for this event, I'm going for Trey Mitchell to win, Hooper in 2nd place, and I am going to stick Tom Stoltman in 3rd place if it's split times, because I think he'll be the fastest. If not, I think he could tie for 3rd place. Event 3, then we have the timber carry. Is an event that appears at the Arnolds quite regularly, and we have pretty good history for the athletes competing. So I'm looking at Mitch to win this one, with Maxime coming in a close 2nd place. His training looks really good for it. Obviously he's doing it on flat ground, but I'm pretty sure he's at comp weight, going under 7 seconds for the correct distance on flat ground, but he's had experience on the actual equipment before, and I think he can put in a very good performance. I think Nick Guardione and Austin Andrade could be outside shots at getting decent points, probably not the win, but watching the training on their YouTube channel, they have a hill outside the gym. I'm pretty certain they went up to comp weight, and they both completed it without dropping it. But historically, not many people finish this one. Thor finished it last year with a pretty quick time, actually beating Maxime Boudreau, but he's coming in heavy for this show, so fat hands, and he seems to really be focusing on the deadlift, which I don't blame him. $101,000, it's not a bad price for pulling a big deadlift. So whether or not that will affect him, we're going to have to wait and see. Of course, this is where I see Trey Mitchell and Bobby Thompson losing decent points. Trey's grip isn't the best, especially when it comes to moving. We've seen on static grip at I think it was the Royal Albert Hall, on the Hercules hold, he actually posted a really good time, but when it comes to moving, he's notoriously not very good. And Bobby was 2nd last on this event last year as well, and I think he would have been last if it wasn't. I think Thomas Evans actually got injured when doing this event, so I don't think it was a case that he was bad at it. I think he got injured. So top 3 for this, I'm going with Mitch to win, Maxime in 2nd place, and I'm actually going to stick Evan Singleton in 3rd place, who I've not actually spoke about for the event, but it's a good sort of event for him. It's something that he normally is very good at, and he didn't manage to finish it last time, but I believe this time, with that little bit of experience, if he's coming in shape, he has potential to do well. Moving on to day 2, we start with the big jerk. It's basically who can put the most weight overhead on an Olympic bar in any way possible. It seems like a good event, one that I'm excited to watch. It's interesting. It will be interesting to see whether or not they can post the sort of numbers that they've been putting up in training after the day 1 and the fatigue that they're carrying. I think it's going to be Mitch and Lucas Hatton battling it out for top spot on this, with Lucas Hatton taking first place. I just think his technique is just that little bit better. Evan Singleton did post a 250 recently. Looked a bit shaky. Whether or not he can hit that on the day, I'm not sure. But I'm going to put Tom Stoltman 3rd place. We saw him do this back in 2022 World Strongest Man final, and he was in that top 3. I think he got 2nd or 3rd place, might have been tied 2nd place. So I imagine he's still going to be pretty good at it. So yeah. Top 3 on that, we've got Lucas Hatton, Mitchell Hooper, and then Tom Stoltman in 3rd. Event number 5, we have the carry and drag. They'll be loading some sort of log or logs onto a sled, I should say, and then dragging it for, I believe, probably 10 meters. And it's about impossible to call this one, to be completely transparent with you guys. There's too many variables we don't know. We don't know the weights of the logs. We don't know the surface. We don't know what the sled is going to weigh overall when they're dragging it. We don't know how long it's going to be. If it's going to be... The thing with this is it could be a really heavy drag, which requires more body weight and more power. It could be a quick drag, which obviously requires faster foot speed and sort of cardio conditioning. And we just don't know. But if it is that heavier side, and if Thor's still going strong after that deadlift attempt, I think he will take the win. And we've seen him on these types of like dragon events before. He's always very good at them. I think Tom Stoltman could do well, just given he's got that similar sort of build to Thor. So I'm going to put Thor to win it, Tom in 2nd place, and Mitch in 3rd, because he's just got endurance in his legs and he's always good when it comes to moving events and any sort of event, to be completely honest. The last event of the show is the Atlas Stone to Shoulder 2 stone, similar sort of system, well, exactly the same system to the Austrian Oak. We've got, I think, a 360 stone and a 400 stone, so that's at 160 and 180 kilos. Reps to shoulder, whoever can do the most reps in probably 2 minutes. I think they normally do 2 minutes when they do the tombstone. Shame, obviously, Mateus is not competing anymore because he probably would have won this one. Now, Mitch said he hasn't been training this event a lot because of the bicep tear that he suffered at the Strongest Man on Earth, but this is Mitch Hooper. He often trains without tacky, and in this you only get the tacky towel, which I don't believe is much good anyway, so not going to make a huge amount of difference. I think he'll do well on it, especially if he needs to for the win. Lucas Hatton was training with Martins for this recently, and obviously Martins has done a lot of traveling, learning, especially about stone lifting, so he's a great person to train with, and it seems like his technique is really solid now. And if he's in a position of fighting for the win or, you know, contention for the podium, I think he's going to pull out a stellar performance. Of course, we have Tom and Thor, notorious for Atlas stone lifting, but I don't know if it's going to be a disadvantage for them being so tall. Obviously, when you're doing it to a platform, over a bar, whatever, being tall is an advantage, because you don't have to lift it so high. But will that be a disadvantage here? Because the smaller guys don't have as far to take it, and they're used to having to extend further up with it. So that could be a disadvantage in this type of event. But the guy who I actually think will win this event is the big thicket himself, Trey Mitchell. He always trains, not always, but he tends to train tackulus up to heavy weights on Atlas stones. He's very good at Atlas stones. I just see him doing really well on it, to be honest. So I'm going to go Trey Mitchell to win this. Lucas Hatton in 2nd place and Mitch in 3rd, because you just can't count him out, whether he trains it or not. Doesn't really matter, I don't think, for Mitch. So, overall standings after all 6 events, guys, I have Mitchell Hooper winning the show. Shock. Lucas Hatton to come in 2nd place with a consistent performance throughout, and then Trey Mitchell in 3rd. I think if it wasn't for the timber carry, especially with these events here, I think Trey would have a real good shot at winning the overall show. But I think if he drops too many points on that, we've seen it with Mateus so many times in the past with the deadlift, he could go win 3 events and still come 2nd place. I think it's going to be a similar sort of thing to that with Trey Mitchell this year. But of course, I could be completely wrong, guys. So feel free to tell me if you think I'm wrong in the comments down below. Leave your predictions down there as well. I'm going to do a recap of the show afterwards, look back on my predictions and see how I did. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a like on the video, and I'll see you in the next one.